y'all? Y'all tuned to the HK Couch. I'm your host, Kill.
And I am Shandell.
Yo, tell me a little bit about Horton's Kids.
Yeah, so Horton's Kids is a nonprofit in Anacostia, Ward 8, D.C., and we serve communities under our 4 pillars: health and wellness, community family engagement, academics, and youth development.
Yes, ma'am. And today, we got my guy, Dr. Majeed, sitting in with us. What's going on, good brother?
Man, blessed by the best. Glad to be here.
Yo, let me explain something to y'all about this man right here. I met you at a training. And I've been doing this work for 24 years. So it's very seldom that I meet somebody who's not only interesting, but I was blown away by the jewels that you were given during this training. And that's saying a lot for me to be working in this work for so long, brother. So I just appreciate you making time for us to sit down with us today.
Man, no better place to be.
Yeah, and you always high vibrational, always coming in with joy, positivity, a good word. So we appreciate you being here.
Yes. If you use the word vibration, I can't wait to talk about that one.
All right, no doubt. Why don't you tell us a little bit about you? We want people who come to the couch, we want the viewers to get to know you. So tell us about you.
Man, to be honest with you, I am a custodian. I'm a custodian of our people. I'm a custodian of the community. Born and raised in Washington, D.C., I've been able and been blessed to kind of serve in other capacities all over the United States, but mainly just here, loving on the community, trying to be that example for the community. I've had I got the same book as most people do. When you talk about, my father passed away when I was 10 years old, and, the streets, called, and I answered the call. And then eventually, I was off track. Then I got back on track, and I decided to just give back. And that's really been my whole story since then. I mean, I can get, drill deep into each one of those parts. But basically, I was just a young man who was, I actually realized, because my name is Warees Majeed, right? Warees means the inherited. Amir means like leader, right? And then forever, I thought Majeed meant family, right? Community, which it does in a sense, but it actually means integrity, which is crazy, right? So it's like the inherited leader of integrity. And that's what I've been preaching. So it's like one day I was doing something, I'm writing down like, what do I want to actually say? Because I hardly write things down. And as I'm writing it down, I say, wow, like my name has always been like a calling the whole time. Like I'm an assignment, you know what I mean? And I've been living like an assignment really this whole time. And even the worst days of my life, or what I thought was the worst days of my life, I now talk to people about what a God day is, right? You got good days and bad days, of course. Some God days, you're like, hey, if I give you $100 right now, you're like, man, this is a God day, man. The doc just blessed me with $100, right? But then I say, okay, my father passed. I was 10 years old. He got sick. I was 7, right? So 8, 9, 10, I didn't have, he basically was withering away at that time. And then 11, no father. So people say, oh, that was a really bad day. That was a God day. Because had my father lived, who knows? I probably would still been Dr. Majeed, but I probably been Dr. Majeed from Harvard, right? And I wouldn't have known the community like I know the community. I wouldn't have loved the community like that. I wouldn't have been able to break bread with who we look at now as, killers and thugs and drug dealers and prostitutes and pimps and all these type of people. These are my friends. These are my family. These are people I love, you know what I mean? That I see exactly what's going on, so I'm able to love their offspring because of that. So the worst day that people would look at in my life was actually a God day. And that was a way for me to, God said, hey, I need to put you through training. But this is this type of training. So I have to take this man out of your life so that you can actually experience that. I know that's kind of deep when I think about it, but that's literally how I look at every day. So I don't have bad days. I just have God days, man.
Yeah.
I love that you're just putting that, like, the journey is really important, right? And as you journey throughout this work, and you said you're a custodian, can you tell us a little bit more about the work that you do? Like, what do you mean by that?
So we are blessed to have a nonprofit called Yaay Me. And Yaay Me, we work with as young as 5 years old, almost cradle to the grave type services. So we do aftercare, before care type of things. We work with young people in the school system to try to make them the best version of themselves. We work a lot with returning citizens and individuals who are justice involved and their parents, trying to really build, people call it the village. We get into the tribe first, right? So our thing is, let's build the tribe. You get these tribes together, that's how you get your village, right? So the tribe is you, it's your spouse, or your partner, your kids, your mother, your father. That's the tribe. Your tribe, my tribe, guess what? We just created a village. So we do a lot of that, right? So tribe building to build villages. Then we have a for-profit called Blueprint Development Consultants. And with the for-profit, we realized that as we do the custodian work, right, with the individuals who come through Yaay Me, which we serve about 2,500 individuals every year, we realize that they need opportunities that are not out here. So the returning citizen, that every door is closed in their face, or the mother who has, been taking care of their child forever. So her time management skills are 10 times better than ours, right? But she can't put that on paper, right? Because all she's been doing is, with all they see that her doing is raising these kids. We want to make sure that they have opportunities. So what Blueprint does is we have these subcontracts and contracts doing everything from security to cleaning to mentoring, you name it, right? So now guess who we can employ? The individuals that we're helping out, right? 70% of our staff are returning citizens or formerly justice involved, right? I'm gonna say almost 80% of our management staff formerly justice involved, or single mothers, single fathers, individuals who have had every door closed in their face. So there's an opportunity for us to actually do the work and show that the work works.
Yeah.
Wow, man, that's kind of crazy, man. I want to dive into something you said earlier, because you said in your journey you got off track but got back on track. We're seeing so much youth violence, the uptick in it. I mean, across the nation.
Yeah.
You're off track. Can you share with us what got you off track? But I think even more importantly, what brought you back?
Absolutely, I could tell you exactly. So my father passed, I was 10. At the age of about 11, I will never, so now for that first 10 years, right, I saw more of what a man should be in 7, 8, 9, 10 years than most people gonna get in their whole lifetime, right? My father was an amazing dude. I mean, had a cleanest, shop type guy. This man used to literally clean up with an all-white suit on. Like, he was just a vicious type dude, right? And his history was amazing. Like, he was the OG's OG. You understand what I'm saying? And, like, literally, like, I saw that through him. I saw how he handled our family and everything. But when he passed, I remember about 11 years old, this gentleman came to our house. Now, my father came from the Nation of Islam and then transferred over into being Sunni Muslim. So that's where we come from, right? That's our foundation, our pillar. And this brother came in at about 11, and I'm the youngest of all the boys. It's 4 of us all together. And he says, he talking some good stuff, right? Like integrity all the way up here. I'm like, that's a good dude right here. I'm feeling him. He leaves out my mother's house, gets in his car, and I remember his car had duct tape on it. I remember the car, I remember everything about the car. But this was a solid dude. Had he went out there and got into a Jaguar or Mercedes or even a nice car without no duct tape, he might have had somebody who would have signed up to be his mentee for life. But because I saw that, I remember saying, like, if that's what God got for me, I'm good. And I remember, like, the streets. I'm a young kid, right? And I can say that now. Like, the streets was attractive to me. I want that lifestyle. I don't want your lifestyle. You're a good dude. I feel you. I appreciate all that. But I'm a rock over here. And those streets, they called. And I answered the call. I was like, this is what I want to do. What do I have to do to learn this? I don't want to learn how to be a godly person, because godly to me was broke, right?
Right.
That was my example. But the streets was, man, you fly, ladies love you, you can get the cars, you can have a different type of lifestyle. I wanted to be self-sufficient back then. And to be self-sufficient, I had to study the streets. So that's what I did. I became a student, right? And I did very well. I got all A's, man. You know what I mean?
Right.
And by the time I start getting failing grades, getting arrested and all these other type of things, drugs really start to really, regulate your life and all that type of stuff. By that time, you're already in it. The bid is already there at that point. Right. You know what I mean? So it ain't like you just say, I'm just going to shade this off, man, go back and chase. I want God again. By that time, I was already in it, And, teenager years, my 20s, just really loving the streets, right? Thinking that the streets love me as well. And then I can always remember that last time, man, when I was arrested, man, and I called my mother, my rock. My mother's true gangster's wife, like on a whole nother level, And I called her, I said, "Mom," I told her what was going on. And she said, "I'm going to pray for you, son." And she hung the phone up. Click. I never forget that. Man, I got out of that situation. The Creator got me out of that situation. And that was kind of really the beginning. Now, I didn't come home, I ain't going to lie, and become a choir boy. I'm not going to sit here and give y'all, I'm going to tell you the truth. But when I came home, I was different. I looked at things different, and I knew I wanted something different, right? And I knew what I was doing wasn't where I wanted to be at all times. And that was really the change for me, you know? And then, of course, you know, I ended up having my daughter, and then it was, got to get rid of this right here. And the Creator just started dropping jewels, and I started to look back, because even when I was in the streets, those things that were transferred to me, even in those first 10 years, and even after that from my mother, who was is an amazing woman, those things were coming out in the streets. Like, I was the guy who was going to throw the basketball game. I threw the football games. You know what I'm saying? I took care of the good men, young men who were doing what they supposed to do. I was going to carry the groceries in the house for the senior citizens. I'm going to make sure, like, you coming on this block, we trying to make money, cut that music down, right? Now, why you throwing your paper right there? Let's pick that up. Our block was clean. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a whole bunch of crazy stuff happening on the block. And I kept a job. You know what I'm saying? Like, imagine how many dudes you know was out there banging, doing what they do, and they kept a job, right? So I always had a little bit of discipline and a little bit of integrity back then. So when I say getting off track, that's the problem today, Brother Kill. That's the problem today, sister. A lot of these brothers and sisters have never seen the track. So you can't say, man, you got to get back on track. They ain't never seen the track. So we got to create the track to put them on the track, and we putting them on the track as teenagers and in their 20s. That's a hard job to do. We seen the track before. So it's all right to get off the track because you can get back on. You understand what I'm saying? And that's like one of those things that I see with our young people right now.
So you're basically saying that our young people don't really have the ability or like the background knowledge of what it looks like to have some of these core values in order for them to move or to make a better decision, right? Or to have a better outcome. Where do you think that breakdown was, right? Where do you think, because like we're coming from, you know, a different time, semi-different time. And we were able to see a lot of different options, right? And it seems like the youth nowadays, the only option that they see is this glorified lifestyle, right? They're not seeing regular Joe Schmo with that may have went from an apartment to a home, right? They're not seeing people working hard to achieve some goals, right? So where do you feel like that breakdown happened for our new generation?
So first of all, I know we like to use the new generation. When we were young, we did that. Let me tell you, like I always talk about the leather jackets, right? So the leather jackets dated all of us, right? But back then, if you had a leather jacket on, you were this bad boy and da-da-da-da. And they were not that bad. Then from the leather jacket, it went to, the hip-hop eras and then the drug eras, and now you got these individuals, like, everybody's just bad. They're horrible. No, they're not. They're the same as us, right? The difference is back then, it was parents. Then it was teachers and even police officers and things like that. Then it was a certain type of media. Now it's media spends more time with our kids than we do, right? Then it is like those other adults that may be around, right, that give those other influence. And then it's parents, right? So the parental guidance has gone down. The kids are the same kids. It's just the way that the wealth is being transferred to them, right? And that's why I'm really big at talking about this, transferring wealth. Who has transferred wealth onto you? How much wealth are the youth being transferred on? That wealth transfer is coming from the internet, from social media, right? It's coming from, and then when you look at the transfer of wealth that's happening at the schools, like, how many of the teachers literally live in your community? My teacher and my principal, literally, we had 202, 202. 20019, 20019. Your mail looked like my mail. Only thing different was the name, but everything else on there looked the same. That's not happening. So it's a transfer of wealth that happens because now that's auntie, that's uncle, right? So I'm learning from auntie. I learn from uncle. You ain't learning from these kids. From these teachers in these schools. You don't even know them. You don't identify with them, right? So that's a big thing. And then the stuff that you learn on the internet, if you don't have someone doing some type of parental guidance on that, how are you really transferring the wealth? I talk about this the game that all the youngins love, right? And they're like, okay, to get to the next, we were just talking about this. They said to get to the next level in this game, you have to kill 700 some people, right?
Wow.
This is the what's the
Grand Theft Auto.
Grand Theft Auto, right? You got to kill. That's desensitizing our kids, right?
Yeah.
That's a wrong transfer of wealth. But I always say it because my son, right, him and my nephew, they playing the game. They enjoying the game, right? Guess what I'm doing? Do you know what type of gun that is? Guess who got killed with that type of gun right there? That's what type of work you can put in with that gun right there. Oh, why would you take the old lady out the car like that? Why? Guess what my son said? Man, I don't even want to play no more. It's boring to me. Thank you. You ruined it. Because on the game, it say parental guidance.
Right.
So I'm just guiding you and letting you know this is a choice that you're making, right? As you're going through this game, understand that in real life, first of all, it's no reset in real life. Second of all, that gun that you thinking is cool, guess what? That gun literally just killed like 3 people that I know. Look, this is the gun that killed. So for them, they like, man, I don't even want to play this game no more. Thank you. You know what I mean? That's a transfer of wealth. It's not happening in a lot of these different communities. Like, have you looked through your niece or your nephew's Instagram and see what that feed looking like?
Yeah.
Ain't too much Jesus and Assalamu alaikum going on there. You understand what I'm saying? So talk to them. Okay, what's up with this? What did this make you feel? We ain't doing that.
Yeah.
No transfer of wealth. Then you see these communities looking like they supposed to look. You know, I tell people all the time, miss me with that. What are you doing? You know what I mean? Are you stepping up or you just talking? Because a lot of times we do a lot of talking, man.
Right. It's funny because I love the transference of wealth, but it's almost like it feels like we have to teach our parents how to do that because we're having younger parents. Because I agree with you, the kids are the same. It's just the situations have changed. You know what I mean? I feel like what kids are now doing in high school, I wasn't doing until I got to college.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like,
Junior high.
yeah, you know, so you know, like you got kids now in junior high school smoking weed. I didn't even think about weed till I got to college. So it's just hitting them a lot earlier. Parents are a lot younger. How do we provide the parents with what they need to be able, like you said, the game says parental guidance. How do we provide that knowledge to the parents? How do we transfer that wealth to them so then they're able to give it to their kids?
We open up a Horton's kid on every block.
Amen.
There you go.
I'm serious.
We
That's
could
the
just stop the
solution.
show right there, HortonsKids.org. Check us out now.
But I'm dead serious. Like when you look at DC, right? Specifically DC, and I've been able to go all these different places. When I tell them what we do or what we have here, they hate us. They can't stand us. Like, how's there anybody getting killed in DC with all this stuff y'all got going on?
Yeah.
So why aren't the parents taking advantage of all of these resources that are out here? It's a value system. We got to let them know the value that's in their community and the responsibility that they have as parents, right? Because you're right. But guess what? When a brother goes to prison, 17, 18, 19, 20 years old, and you say, man, he was an animal. That dude there was terrible. And he comes out and he can regulate his emotions now. His emotional intelligence is on a whole nother level. He can even work at a job for 40, 50 hours a week with no problems, no issues, no nothing, discipline on a whole nother level. What happened to him in 20 years that didn't happen to him on the streets? He was transferred wealth. When they come in there, they say, man, you know what, young man, young blood, you know what, I like you. Let me tell you what you did wrong. Tell you why you in here. Let me tell you why I'm not going to be able to go home. So when that young brother gets the opportunity to come out, now he's like, that was transferred wealth.
Yeah.
He was transferred a certain type of wealth. It's not happening. So even with our parents, we got to put them in a situation and show them like, listen, you got to value your responsibility as a parent. You need to find the wealth. We got to start going around like everybody need to be looking for gold, man. Transfer the wealth. When I'm talking to brother, like brother, we transferring wealth. Sister, when we talk, we transferring wealth. It's not a whole bunch of garbage and stuff like that. That's how you got to do that. And when we start doing that more in our community, you're going to see the change. It's nothing wrong with our communities. It's just that they haven't been transferred wealth. No wealth, you broke spiritually, mentally, physically, financially. You broke. You walking around broke. So the communities are broken because it's not the right transfer of wealth. It's the same community out here that it was in 1960-something. When you can go to these places and almost pray on the front steps, flowers everywhere, people loving on each other. It's the same community. Ain't no difference. That's why other people come and see, and they come to our communities, and we talk about things like, we got all these people coming in that don't look like us, and all these different type of things, and they get it, and you come back in 5 years, when you come back home, you're like, this the spot I used to live at?
Right.
It's worth $1 million now? It's the
Right.
same exact bricks. It's the same ground. It's the same everything. You valued it, you didn't.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, that's what we got to start. This thing ain't hard, man. It's about value. It really is.
But how? So I love the idea of transferring wealth, and I love that you said that it's just the value that you put on it, right? Because, like, prime example, I live in Northeast DC in an older home that in the neighborhood. I don't know if you know about Kenilworth. Kenilworth was once Kenilworth, and now it's like this whole Eastland Gardens. It was always Eastland Gardens, but they're pumping Eastland Gardens more, and the demographic has changed over the past 10 years, and rightfully so, what we see in Southeast, right? The issue that I'm seeing with some of our parents, and I love that, like I said, I love the idea of transferring wealth. People are just so afraid to speak to each other, right? This idea of like, I'm not saying anything. You know, where like there could be an issue with a child in the community and a parent will know about the issue. And I'm like, so did you go and talk to X parents? And they're like, I'm not doing that because I don't want to have any problems. How do we get the community to go back to a place where they're starting to communicate with each other again?
Once again, we got to put a Horton scale on every corner.
Okay.
But it's these type of organizations that create opportunities for our parents and for our young people, right, to be in a controlled environment, and then we start to hide the learning, right? We got to hide the learning, right? It starts at I tell people all the time, like they say, man, what does Dr. Majeed really do, man? Listen, I calm killers and make drug dealers legal. That's it.
Okay.
That's all I want to do.
Calm killers and make drug
That
dealers
sounds,
legal.
it's almost like a rap bar, right?
No, it really is.
Yeah.
And when they thinking about it, like, that's what I want to do. I want to calm killers, right? I want to legalize drug dealers, and I want, the third part of the bar is, and I want absentee fathers home for Christmas.
Okay.
Right? But that's a part of making sure that I'm able to talk to the fathers, right? Making sure that I'm able to talk to the guy who you consider the killer, but he really was just a protector of his community. So I got to show him them leadership skills. So now he goes back as a leader, not a killer, right? The person that go back, you walking around as a drug dealer. No, you're a provider. So now I need to give you the skills to legally provide. Go back to your community as a provider. So we got to change the way we look at our communities first. We as the providers.
Right.
Because a lot of times we go in, like you said, you could talk to a staff member. I'm not talking to her, man. She going to be off the chain. If you come in like that, no. But if you come in like, you know what, I'm going to go and let this person know, like, this is something they can do, give them some options, have them to come on in the Horton's kids. We're going to have a meal. We're going to sit around the table. We're going to talk about some good stuff. Man, I'm telling you, will start to see, like, these parents are like, man, help me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm serious. I've had parents say, please help me to raise my child. It's happening out here, but we got to provide them with that, right? So we got to be the ones that say, man, I'm going to change this all around for you.
Man, you saying a lot, good
Yeah.
brother.
We doing it. We
Gems,
living it. Y'all
nuggets.
living it. Y'all doing it. We are doing it. That's another big piece right there, right? How many times are the things that are happening in our communities getting any type of press? It's not happening. So that's another way that you transfer wealth. Because if we know, like, things have changed. Now we know that these phones are the most dominant thing that our young people have, right? Let's make sure that there's some type of positive transfer of wealth that's happening over the phone, right? Let's make sure that, Brother Kill, you need to be on a poster board. This is a black man that's doing this thing. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you can be Dr. Majeed, you can be Brother Kill. It's out here for you, but you don't see that.
That's
But
true.
let Kill go out here and do something crazy, or Dr. Majeed get out here and do something crazy. Oh, posting me everywhere. You know what I mean? I'm going to break the internet. That's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? We could do it, though.
Man, that's amazing, man. When we're talking about this youth violence that's going on, man, I think it just touches us so much because we deal with the youth every day.
Yeah.
You know, and our biggest concern is safety. Our biggest concern is making sure our kids get back home safely every night, making sure our kids feel safe when they go outside. I was talking with some kids the other day on the podcast, and they were saying, after the killing of Naomi last week over in one of the communities where we serve, they were saying, like, I'm scared to go outside.
Yeah.
I don't go outside, or when I go outside and I see people starting to argue, I already know go in the house. You know, and it's sad that our kids, you know, have to already have this system played in their head of what they have to do to stay safe. Or, I mean, growing up in the 80s, man, that's all. If you took away outside, bro, like
In the 2000s, I'm sorry.
2000s for Chandel, 80s for me. You take away the outside, bro, like that's it, man. So you're taking away the outside, and like you said, you're giving them these phones where there isn't any positive wealth being transferred to them.
Yeah.
Who do we hold accountable for that, man?
I mean, it's got to start with us, though, right? So we do something that we call the boardroom. I definitely want to have you to come out to the boardroom where we actually are talking about, like, absentee fatherism, like all the conversations that happen around the dinner table. But that's where it starts at. When they say, man, no one's coming to save us, why do we put a period after that? No one's coming to save us but us. Mm-hmm. No one ever finishes that, right?
Right.
No one's coming to save us but us. So get up and let's work. Mm-hmm. Let's go to work. Like, how many people have you walked past, right? Even us, and on this couch right now. How many people have we walked past just today who we do not know their name? We didn't even ask, like, you probably seen this person, this brother, this sister a million times. You didn't even just say, like, what's your name? What's your story? Mm-hmm. Like, what do you need? Like, how can I help you out? What can I do? So it starts there. It starts with us. It also starts with us making sure that we have the integrity and discipline to regulate ourselves. Mm-hmm. Because these young people see that as well. Mm-hmm. They are studying us. They studying you. They are studying you every day. Trust me. Even if you don't see it, it's usually those ones that you're like, I know he ain't getting none of this. Mm-hmm. Oh, studying you. She is studying you. So what type of study are you? What type of study are we? Mm-hmm. That's where it starts at. You know what I mean? It's not a heavy lift. The lift is you first.
Right.
And then you'll start seeing that, right? Mm-hmm. So I challenge myself on that, right? When I walk past people sometimes, I just want to ask them, like, what's your name? You'd be surprised how many people will say, you know what? No one has asked me my name in a week, in a month, in a year. What made you do that? Just want to know your name, sister. How you doing?
Oh, Dr. Majeed, we can hang out. That's my jam. Because I'm always in there. I'm like, hey.
Yeah.
Who are
we
you?
need more people like that. But I see that. And it's your spirit. I
Yeah.
see that. You know what I mean? That's what I see it. I see it all day long. Trust me.
And I love that you said that we have to get to know people more, right? I think you said that no one's going to come and save us but us. And, you know, in doing this work in D.C., sometimes the folks that are doing the work don't look like the demographic that they're serving. And how important do you feel like it is for people to see themselves within the people that are helping them?
It is. It's the most important thing, right? Mm-hmm. Anybody that's coming to help what we got going on, it's cool. I just think that it's almost like a slap in the face to think that it's only individuals like that are coming to save us, right? And I feel like that's what the narrative looks like a lot of times, but it's really not. Mm-hmm. And I feel like once we start to identify more people who do look just like us, that want to step up to the plate, we got to build that bridge for them. Because I don't mind a brother and sister coming in and don't look like me, right? But you do need to go through a certain education process to understand who you're serving. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what's lost a lot of time, right? And a lot of times that's what, I didn't have no one to come and usher me into the community. That's a lie, right? Where are you looking? You know what I mean? So I think that's one of the problems, right? But I can speak on that for 50 years, for real, because that's something that really personally bothers me right there, right? But I feel like there are enough of us around who want to give back. Right. But look at the resources that come with other individuals that come into our community. Mm-hmm. How do they get those resources, and why are we denied those same resources? Because I guarantee you, if you open up that same Pandora's box for us that they get, oh, Lord, the change will be amazing.
Yeah.
Man.
No question.
I'm just over here trying to take mental notes of just, you know, figuring out how we move this forward. Not only in the communities that we serve, but just communities everywhere. Because in general, you know, people watch and like, there's so many cities that are hurting from this. I'm from Philly, you know what I mean? And I mean, the violence that's been going on with Philly, with the shootings at the bus stops and just everything that's going on is just, it's making people, I always tell people when I go home, I'm like, I'm Will Smith in I Am Legend. After the lights go down, we close up the door. I'm not going out. Y'all come visit me, but I'm not going back out. And that's just not healthy, man.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things in a perfect world? In a perfect world, our media lab brought to us by In a Perfect World. In a perfect world, what would be 3 things that you would want? Like if you just had that genie lamp and you could say these 3 things, what would those 3 things be that you think could shift what we're seeing in our communities across the nation?
I could do better than that. It's something that we have. It's called the vision. You're going to learn about it when you go to the boardroom. The vision is a 40-year plan for our people in our community, and it talks about not 3 but 5 things.
Okay.
It's very important in this order right here. There are 5 systems in our community that have been broken, and the reason why our communities are not broken anymore, they're shattered. The first one is the family system. First system that any of us touch is the family system. The second system that all of us touch is the healthcare system. Both of those are broken. The third one is the educational system. Broken, right? The fourth one is the prison pipeline, that prison system. Now, some may say, hey, I never went to prison before, but you have been impacted. Either you've dated somebody who went to prison, their child went to prison. Somehow you are in directly or indirectly impacted by that. And then the fifth one is the banking system. So in my perfect world, with my genie lamp, fix all 5 of those systems. What the vision is doing is we are identifying all 5 of those systems and fixing all 5 of those systems so that they work for us. That's what my perfect world looks like. If you go through all 5 of those systems that are fixed, you become fixed. You go through all 5 of those systems that are broken, which every last person who looks like us has gone through every last one of those systems that's broken. And you look and saying, why is our community broken? Why is it shattered? If you go through all broken stuff, you're going to be shattered too.
Yeah. It's like almost like trying to run in quicksand.
Come on now.
Yeah.
It's my genie. When you find a genie, send her to me. Fix all 5 of those systems and see what type of community we have.
Now, I'm going to dig deeper. We got to dig deeper.
Yeah.
So let's talk about each one individually.
Yeah.
Number 1 was the family.
Yes.
How was that? Break down how that's broken. I mean, I think we know, but I would love breakdown from you.
So that one goes to, when we talk about the village, we keep talking about village. You got to talk about the tribe. Okay.
Right.
If daddy isn't in the household for whatever reason, if mommy's womb is completely tainted because of drugs, alcohol, mentally, all of these things that are happening, right? Then the tribe is broken. Right? And so that first place that I'm going to learn is from my tribe, from my mother, from my father, from my grandma, from my grand. So I'm not getting any type of transfer of wealth right there. I'm not getting anything from that. All I did was I was placed into this broken home, this broken system. So I already go out into the world with the first thing that has ever happened to me has been broken. So I'm already giving this shattered glass to the community off the top, right? So that's that first thing is family. We got to fix the family structure first. That's your foundation. That's the track. The track is established right there. I didn't become a Muslim because I woke up one day and said, I want to be a Muslim. I became a Muslim because my mother and my father was a Muslim. Most of us became Christian because our mom and our daddy or grandmother was a Christian, right? These are things that happen. The track was established right there in the family.
All right, number 2. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, I think that's a great point. And I think it's very important for people to learn how to become a family again. But where do you think, or how do you think they can learn how to be a family again? Does this responsibility lie on the schools to kind of help educate families to learn how to become a family again? Is this, we need more churches to get involved to help the family come back together again? Like who do you feel like needs to help with educating the family to get back on track?
So we get really deep into like where the vision and how it's going to be successful. And it also gets into, when I first talked to you, I talked about the vibration, right? For us, there is a spiritual piece that's missing, right, in our community. And we don't address it because, if I have a nonprofit, I can't say this. Or if I'm a government worker, I can't say this. Or it can't be in my school. We don't talk about that. The spiritual piece is the foundation. Don't have it, is everything else comes after that, right? Just the fact that you can say, I'm a bastard. And You know, back in the day, when you were called a bastard, that was like, I don't want to be called that. Now that name is just thrown around like it ain't nothing. Or women like, no, I'm not married. I'm just having a child. Or a man saying, oh, I got 2, 3 baby mothers. Like, we could say this stuff now, and it's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Right.
We've made this stuff okay. We don't talk about these things, right? Absentee fathers and mothers. Even just because you're a mother in a household, you can still be an absentee mother. Just because you're a father in a household, you can still be an absentee father, right? These individuals, these are conversations that some of our great-great-grandfathers now, these are the conversations they had at the head of their table, right? And it was not only, listen, having a bastard child is something that we ain't trying to do no more. So that's why the vision is 40 years, right? And I didn't even want to get into the whole biblical part because I didn't even know that when the Creator put it in our head to write that down about Moses in 40 years. All of us not going to make it, right? But these are things that we need to start talking about. Let's make it so that if you don't want to have a bastard child, you don't want to be known as an absentee mother or father, you don't want to have a relationship without having a ring, right? Let's start having that. So let's fix our tribes and have these conversations that are not comfortable. I want to hear that. You know what I mean? I want to hear, dang, I got bastard kids. I don't want to hear that, but we have to now so that my kids don't have to have bastard kids.
Yeah. And I think that's it. It's those hard conversations people don't want to have.
Yeah, because the investment has to be now, brother. Like, we invest now, I'm telling you, we can clear a lot of this stuff up. And it starts with the family.
Yeah.
Right? And then when you go into the next one with the healthcare system, think about that. How broken this healthcare system is. Number one, we got these babies out here who are taking things that are not for them. They're being labeled in all different type of ways. Mental health is now all of a sudden it's starting to become, people don't mind saying mental health because it's some financial stuff beside it, but I don't even want to get into that right now, right? However, we know mental health is actually something that the tribe can help with that. The village helps with that mental health piece, right? Knowing what we're eating, right? What we putting inside of ourselves. Healthcare don't necessarily mean you going to the doctor. It's the care of your health. That happens in the tribe. It happens in the village. It's broken. The system's broken.
I love how you did that because in my mind, I'm thinking healthcare. I'm thinking that, but you're 100% true of, we were just talking about the food deserts that we live in. You know, our communities can't get without a car to a grocery store. They can't, so you have to go to the corner store.
You know what's crazy about that one, the healthcare piece? I talk to the brothers. I say, I know you want a really, really nice car, right? Like, if I can give you just $200,000 right now. Like, what kind of car would you buy? So of course they want, these nice little cars and stuff, right? I say, okay, when you go to the gas station, what type of gas you gonna put in that car? Are you gonna put that 87 in there, or you gonna put that 93 that they said you gotta put in there? Nobody gonna put 87 in there. I will park the car before I put 87 in it. I'm gonna put that 93 in it. But you are probably the most expensive machine that's ever been created. Why you keep putting 87 in you then? And you walking around putting, mad, angry, breaking down, because you putting 87 gas in $1 trillion machine. You understand what I'm saying? Let's let it make sense.
Yeah.
You gonna put that 93 in there. So every time you go to Deaf Donald's and all the rest of these places, right? And you putting this stuff inside of you, that's why you putting, bruh. That's why you ain't running. That's why you breaking down. It's the same thing, but that's a healthcare conversation. And if it's strong from the tribe to the village, by the time the child go to school, they gonna already know, like, you literally trying to kill me right now.
Right.
I ain't gonna drink poison, but you actually are. I ain't gonna eat poison, but you actually are. But the healthcare system has told us that this is okay. It's acceptable.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So I say that it's super deep. You know what I mean? And then the education system, oh my goodness. Like, come on. Outdated.
That's a whole joint and
we
just to
sitting
itself.
around like we going into, back then it was cool because people went from school and they went into like these factory type of jobs, right?
Right.
So that was cool back then. They had to show you walk on the right side, you eat like this, you do like this. They was training us to be robots for 40 or 50 years so we can get that gold watch. Ain't no gold watches no more.
Yeah.
I don't see it. Where's forward at? You don't see this stuff. See what I'm saying? So it's broken, bro. That one is beyond broken. Everything about it is broken. What they teaching us the whole nine, we got to get in there and do that.
And that's a great point too, because whenever you talk to a lot of like our high school kids and you ask them, why aren't you going to school anymore? And it's like, there's no point. It's no fun because they don't see, back in the day, the way that we thought about a job or being on a job is like, you get a job, you stay at that job, and then you die, right? That was the whole trajectory. And nowadays, our younger folks, they have so many opportunities, right? They have so many different career pathways. They have so many ideas about how they can become an entrepreneur, right? I took some of our kids to the African American Museum last night, and Ali was like, he was like, I'm gonna get my CDL license so I could have a trucking company. And I'm like, well, that's great. I didn't think about that when I was your age. But they're already thinking about how they can become an investor or, flip houses. They're not thinking about like the conventional way of going about work. So that's true that what you're saying is that the idea of marching in line. I was guilty of that when I was a teacher. Sit crisscross applesauce and hold your hands up while I'm reading to you, where everyone, looking at me. But now we have to educate our youth to become creatives, right? Because no longer is there any security in just working to get a home. Because as we see, you're at home until you're 30 now, right? Because you can't afford, you can't afford to move out. So the way that they have to go and navigate life after school is a little bit more creative because they're gonna have to have multiple different streams of income.
And they saying that, like, think about it. What shows did you watch and what type of media were you exposed to when you were their age? We saw shows where people went to work, came home, raised their family. We didn't see like a black man with a CDL company or, even a rap thing. Like that came out like with the box and stuff like that, with videos and all that type of stuff. Like that's when we started seeing that stuff and we got so exposed to it. We was like, oh, no, I like that. So we started that. Our generation really started that. Like, we want to have our own. We want to own our masters. We want to do it. We started hearing this stuff and seeing this stuff. Our parents didn't see that. You know what I mean? Like the Cosby Show was like, still two parents that went to work, raised their kids. You know what I mean? Like that was like what we saw. So that's what we aspired to be. That was our goal. That's what we were shooting for. These kids, they shooting to hit listen, they trying to hit the stars.
Yeah.
They see all these things and they're like, I want that. Well, we haven't given them the tools to get there. So when they become 18, 15, 16, 17, 18, and their 20s, they like, man, I wanted that. Nobody showed me how to get there though. So I gotta take it. I gotta do something. So now it's like you putting a microwave in a microwave. You understand what I'm saying? You telling me I gotta rush it. Then when I get to this age and I realize time is on the other side, now I'm really, really rushing it. So now they doing all this crazy stuff because guess what? They want it. They want to be great. You understand what I'm saying? Self-sufficiency is something that all of us have as pups. Tell me what you wanted to be when you was 9 years old, 8 years old, 7, 6, 5, and I'm gonna show you how you wanted to be self-sufficient back then.
I wanted to be a mermaid, so I don't know.
Still, you wanna know why
joking.
though? But no, even as a mermaid, guess what? You saw this open ocean and you wanted to be free. You wanted to be able to go everywhere. And mermaids were looked at as this beautiful thing that I ain't never heard nobody say, I hate a mermaid.
Right, that's true.
You understand what I'm saying? You wanted to be self-sufficient back then.
And you know what, that kind of embodies my personality because I'm ready to always
There you
go and do me.
Chandelle and some water.
Yes, be in water.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Anything that anybody wanted to be when they was in the sandbox shows me that you were thinking about being self-sufficient as
That's
a
so
pup.
true. That's true.
Yeah, and for me, I wanted to be Russell Simmons.
Yeah.
Come on now.
I saw Crush Groove, and I was like, yo, I want to own a record label. I want to put out music. I want to do those things.
And subconsciously, you knew Russ can take care of his family, though.
Yeah.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
You know Russ can make the moves that he wanted to make.
That's so true.
Easy. I done had a young lady one time who told me, she said, she wanted to be a stripper. The whole class, they laughed at her. I said, who in your family was a stripper? She said, my mother. But her mother took care of her grandmother, her brother, her self-sufficiency. It wasn't anybody will walk around and say, bring your parent to work day. You ain't gonna want to see that. But if the truth is, that's what happened. Another young man said he wanted to be a bank robber. Who in your family was a bank robber, young man? My uncles. But they took care of everybody in their family. Self-sufficiency. We've been looking for it our whole life. That's the example. That was the transfer of wealth that he saw and she saw. You understand what I'm saying? For you saw Russ.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? For her, she saw the Little Mermaid, but I mean, still.
It's okay. It's an imagination. Had a wild imagination back then. So how important do you feel that we change the curriculum, maybe like introduce entrepreneurship or some sort of creative thinking into the educational system?
No one's coming to save us but us. So even like y'all have these young kids that are coming here, you're not teaching them traditional stuff that's going on at school. At least I hope that's not what's going on, right? So we got to open it up. We in this studio right here. Like you said, the young people were on this couch the other day. I didn't have no studio when I was 10, 11, 12. So we got to teach it. We have to do that, right? We got to insert ourselves in the school system. We got to start taking back our power. That's our school system. Those are our babies. You understand what I'm saying? So it's not going to happen. I'm going to tell you exactly how you're going to raise my child. And when they come home, I'm going to enforce it on my end. That's how we do that. No one's coming to save us but us.
I feel like we are kindred souls, because that's one thing I used to teach parents all the time. When I had my little tutoring business, I would go into the school. Like, a mom would come to me and say, my child, they're telling me my child is behind, right? And I would sit with the child during my tutoring session. I'd be like, can you tell me a little bit about your classroom, right? And I'll ask you, what did you do in class today? And they'll say, oh, we did reading, but Johnny was running around the classroom, so the teacher spent the whole day just trying to get him to sit down. And I would tell the parent that, like, oh, your child isn't necessarily behind, is that they're not getting the opportunity to learn. So we need to go back and we need to observe this classroom to ensure that your child is getting an opportunity to learn. So it's so it is very important for every parent to understand, A, if their child is excelling or not. Is that A really an A? That's very important, because not everyone that's getting an A deserves an A.
No question.
And then they need to understand, what is it like? What are they learning? Because you just never know. You have to be the biggest advocate for your child in the educational system, because if you're not, your child may be left behind, especially if you're one of those parents that, has a child that's a quote unquote good child. They're the ones that are always not being paid attention to a lot.
No question. And you talking about the educational vision right there as well. Because what we realize in our studies is there are so many people in our schools that are out of place. So the teacher's trying to be a security guard. The security guard is trying to be a mentor. The principal is trying to be everything, right? Everybody, no one is in their natural role. You know what I mean? So you're right. A child's going to be left behind. Right. And it's going to be some things that are happening, because education can't happen in some of these campuses. They can't. First, it needs to be some other things that need to happen. Once again, nobody's coming to save us but us. We need to be in these schools. I need to make sure that my child can go to school without all these things happening and can express themselves freely, right? And learn freely without all these different things, because by the time that the day's over, it's like, what did you do today? Oh, I just witnessed the fight. Oh, I saw the teacher trying to calm the class down. It's a 45-minute class. She spent 20 minutes doing that.
Right.
We're going to learn up in here. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, no question.
So we got family, we got healthcare, we got education. What's next?
Prison system.
Okay.
So that's not a bad thing, right? If you break one of the 10 commandments, then you should be punished for that, right? But at one point in time, people went to prison and they learned how to be all of these amazing things. People came home with degrees and all of this. People ain't just come home swollen, right? These dudes' minds and these ladies, they came home with something completely different. We need to start running the prison systems again, right? And when we change that around, what happens is now those men and women that are coming, I call them the bull elephants, right? When these bull elephants come back to the community, they start to take the community over again, right? But if we transfer the right type of wealth to them and then they come home with the right resources, the revolving door stops. And then they now become the bull elephants to the other little baby bulls in the community who don't end up going in again, right? But that system is called a correctional institute. Ain't no correction happening, right? So we got to get back in there. Ain't nobody coming to save us but us. We need to save our correctional institutes. We need to be running those correctional institutes, because they've now become big business. You got religion and you got jail. Those are two biggest businesses that we have out here. That's unfortunate, right? That jail is now just a business? No. So we're going to take it all the way back. Where did jail come from? Like, I teach my youngest all the time, like, learn that 13th Amendment. I need you to be able to spit that out and tell me exactly why is it here. What was it for? Do you realize that you now can be a slave legally because you did this certain act right here? They don't really know that. We got to break those words down and make them powerful in their ear and know what they're giving away. And when we do that, we change that system. So now the prison system should really just be around for individuals who just, look, he just can't get right. You know, we always had one of them. Can't get right. Can't get right need to go in. Right. But when can't get right come out, man, can't get right going to be all the way right. So he may need that. She may need that. But all of our youngins don't have to go through that system. But as long as they think it's, because it's so broken and everything out here is just like pulling them into that system, right? We got to get to a point where we show them why they don't go in. How many times have we gone and talked to that youngin, whose name we might not know, at 10 years old and tell them, listen, you get this charge, can't be a firefighter. You can't. We don't do that. We don't. So by the time they find out, guess what? When they go, they say, man, you can't get this because you got arrested for this or you got arrested for that. So that's that prison system. We got to fix it.
It's almost like we've got to find a way to fix it in our communities, because that's what's, one of our kids got a full scholarship, and I was asking him, hey, did anybody in the community say congratulations to you? And he said no.
Come on, bro.
You know, but then one of my other kids got out of jail, and they had like a 3-day barbecue for him.
Right.
And it's just like,
the loss.
yeah, you know what I mean? It's just kind of like we're backwards on that. Like, how are we, you know, and it's great that he got out of jail, but this young brother got a full ride to college, and nobody even said congratulations, let alone throw a party or anything.
You don't even know what you just said right now. Two things. Number one, where's the first place that you ever been arrested?
Usually in the hood.
In your house, in your tribe. Get your butt in this house. Go to your room. You are locked down. That's the first place that you're supposed to. A lot of these kids, the first time they get arrested is when they actually get arrested.
Right.
Think about that.
Say more about that.
Right? Because that's the parent piece right there. That's the community, the village piece right there, right? That we have to start holding our kids accountable when anything happens. But what happens a lot of times, not always, but in many instances, even in my own family, I've seen it. My child, not my baby.
Oh.
No, that's your baby
right.
all day long. So don't feel like you are less than a person by saying that, you know what, you messed up, let's talk about this, but I'm taking this privilege away from you.
Yes.
I'm gonna lock you up here so you ain't got to get locked up there. Right? So that's the first thing you said, and that hit home. But I'm going to tell you the other piece that you said, brother, oh, my goodness. We celebrate losses in our community more than anybody else I ever known. Like, literally, that's all we do. My man came home, celebration. And I tell people all the time, like, who lost the championship last year? Most people, unless you a fanatic, you don't remember who lost the championship. You remember who won the championship.
Right.
Now, think about the championship game, football, basketball, whatever's your sport. The same bottles of Moet that are in the losing locker room are the same bottles in the winning locker room. They didn't go buy the Moet 5 minutes before the game. It didn't happen, right? But what happened after the game? The people who won, what we do? We pop the bottles. We celebrating the championship. What did the losers do? They went in their room and they looking like this, heads down. Like they thinking about, like, how do I get back in this gym? Like, I want to celebrate like that. But they didn't celebrate. Because it's not, you don't celebrate losses. That's why in our community, that's what we do. We celebrate loss after loss. Even go to these funerals, man, which I haven't been. I went to my first funeral this year. I haven't gone to one since like 2015 because I had a big shoebox full of obituaries, right? But I got tired of celebrating losses. We go to the funerals, what happened? Popping bottles, drinking, smoking, da-da-da. You celebrating the loss. Like, at my funeral, if you want to pop bottles, cool. But I want you to pop bottles. You say, man, Doc, man, transferred this wealth on to us, man. Look at his kids, his great-great-grandkids.
Yeah.
He left them houses. You understand what I'm saying? He left them all these life insurance policies. Win. Celebrate my life as a win. These brothers, when you lose your life at 21, 25, that's a loss of life. When I die and I'm 95, 85,
then you can celebrate.
Man, that's a win. He
Yeah.
was out here winning. You know what I mean? But we celebrate loss after loss after loss in our community. So, no, I don't want to take a shot with you. What are we shooting to? What we taking a shot to? Now, we talking about you just got you a couple houses or you bought an apartment complex and you giving back. Man, let's take that shot. I'm with you.
Right.
We got to stop celebrating losses in our community. We do it over and over and over again. You know? So now it's like, you're supposed to celebrate a loss. So a win is what?
But how do you? So I love that because I'm with you on that, right? The only time I'm going to your funeral is that you have to be over the age of 75. If you're not 75, I'm not coming to your funeral. That's my thing, because just like you, I lost my mom at a young age too. So I don't do young people funerals at all. But they're celebrating. When you talk to some of these young kids, they don't see themselves living past 18, sometimes 16, right? So if you're going to a funeral for someone who's 20 and 25, they feel like their life is complete, right? Because they don't see anyone who is old anymore. I just asked a 13-year-old, he's struggling. He's kind of like trying to figure out how to do the right thing, right? He's in and out of he's on a line. And I asked him, I said, don't you want to be old? And he was like, yeah, I think I deserve to be old. And I said, tell me what's old. And he was like, 45. And I'm like, 45? It's not that old. I'm like, old is like 80. Well, in my opinion, we could get 65 or older. Let's, for senior citizens' sakes. But like, to think that at 45 you're a grandpa, that's, to me, it's like a wild way of thinking. So I can see why some of our community members will celebrate somebody at a young age, because they don't see themselves having a long life anymore, right?
I can tell you like this, right? At one point, I thought the same thing, first of all. But it's a reason behind that, right? What are your dreams and your goals? When we talked about this earlier, I said, like, a dream and a goal is the same thing. The only difference is a goal has objectives. So if my goal is to be a drug dealer, there's a cap usually on that, right? 18, 19, 20, 25, 45, you an old drug dealer, right? But that means you OG at 45 if you still in the game, right? So most of the dreams that our young people have are those type of professions. So they have a cap on it. So for me to say 18, then cool, because I already done mapped out, like, for me, like, in this profession, 18, man, everybody gonna have on these t-shirts. We gonna be popping bottles. They gonna talk good stuff about me. They gonna go to the club. Like, I'm gonna be a legend, right? Because at this profession, that is the height of this profession. But when I start talking about I wanna be a lawyer, those goals go way past 18, way past 35, way past 45. Right. They come with grandkids, and they come with insurance policies and all these other type things. So we got to start having our young people to start dreaming that. So then they map out their life. So I can see my life, right? And unless something happens to me and the Creator just takes me out of here, I see me with great grandkids, and I see me giving back and doing all these amazing things, because that's where my dreams are right now. They dreams stop. So it's a cap on each dream. You understand what I'm saying? If that's what you want to do, then boom. It's like a basketball player. You ain't never seen those 60-year-old basketball players. LeBron might be the first one because there's something wrong with him. But everybody else, you understand what I'm saying? They know at 40, you done. 35, you're done.
Right.
So imagine if you're looking at your life like that. You're thinking like, okay, so for a basketball player, that's their death. You know what I'm saying? Is at 35, I can't play ball no more. You know what I mean? And so it's the same thing with our young people in our community. So if whatever that profession is, they see them reaching the height, usually that height got a ceiling.
Right.
That's a great perspective. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And what was number 5?
Number 5 is the banking system.
Okay.
And it is number 5 for a reason. Number 1, you think when I say ain't nobody coming but us, that's what I really mean. I'm not even worried about being a part of their banking system. I look at the banking system as like a chessboard. And I tell people all the time, most powerful piece on the chessboard, people say, is the queen. For me, it actually is the king, because once the king is done, it's over, right? But it's that pawn that could be anything on the chessboard, right? But even if you get all the way to the end, you've never seen anybody, you don't kill the king to win the game. People say that all the time. When you kill the king, no, you capture the king. This not our game. So even with that pawn, you can be the queen, but you only can be the queen. You can never be the king. You can never be the king. And even if you're able to get to the end, you can capture the king, but you can't kill the king, which means that that's not our game. That's the banking system for me. So what I'm tired of hearing people say is, I want a seat at the table. I want to see that. No, it's 3 of us. Let's create our own table. Let's create our own banking system. We don't need this. We don't need anything that's not for us. We got to create our own banking system. That's why I made that the last one, because when you start talking about money, you throw everybody off. Let's fix our family first. Let's fix our health care first.
You got to get them prepared For the
It's
money.
a step.
For the money
Yes.
conversation.
So once you do that, then because guess what? If I told you right now, brother Kilpatrick, man, if you put up $100 every month, just like you would pay your cell phone bill, but it goes into the vision fund to help our communities. If you see the vision, you throwing that $100 in there. But if I led with that conversation first before we talked about everything else, you be like, man, come on, Doc. I already know you. I see how you dress. No, seriously.
Right.
And this is
Yeah.
what happens. But in the boardroom, when we having these conversations, ain't nobody even looking at like, oh man, what you gonna do with the money? We know what we doing with the money. We know how we come in. And sometimes it's not even gotta be money. Like, what do you bring? What resource can you bring? Let's build this thing up so we have our own banking system that represents what we believe in. You understand what I'm saying? And so that's why the banking system is the last one, but it's one that we gotta fix though.
I agree 100%, man. I mean, so many jewels.
So many gems, jewels, tweetable
right.
moments.
Right.
Right.
Preaching better than the congregation is saying as amen as always. You know, doing what you do, man. Where can they get at you? Where can they learn more about Yaay Me? Where can they learn more about Dr. Majeed? Where can they get more information?
So definitely, hopefully everybody can follow at the Dr. Majeed. So Majeed is Majeed. So want to follow that on Instagram because that's important because we doing things like 6-month challenges and we saying like when we coming out, what we doing in the community, how you could be a part of the boardroom, right? If you qualify, how you could be a part of the vision, which everybody qualifies for, right? The boardroom a little different. You gotta have the system is a little different with the boardroom. You gotta have integrity and discipline to be a part of the boardroom. If you don't, we can't rock with you, right? But the vision is going to impact everybody, even the people who don't get on point, right? They all going to be able to benefit from that. But so follow us there. Look at the web page, yaayme.org. It's really important that you kind of be a part of that, the no slide zone.
Spell that out too, the Yaay Me.
So Yaay Me is YAAYME. So Yaay Me, like celebrating yourself, right? Yaayme.org. So definitely follow that website. We hiring for some positions right now. We looking for some good men, some good women to do some of these things in the community. So just check us out there and volunteer, come out, do some of these amazing things, and just be a part of the vision.
All right, Chandel.
Yeah, and you can follow me on Instagram, Love by Chandel, Love, and then by Chandel.
All right, and you already know what it is with me at Kill889. Again, hortonskids.org. Definitely check us out. Look at some of the amazing things that we are doing in the community. We're praying that these podcasts are able to touch more people and not only, be able to do what we do in the communities for our families, but to help people all over the world. So prayerfully, you will walk away with this. I know that you have to. Our goal at HK Couch or anything that we do is you're walking away with at least one gem. And today you're walking away with more.
So many.
You can't say you didn't get anything from this episode. And then definitely get with Dr. Majeed to figure out how you can get those seeds. This is the seed. Now we got to water it until we get to the harvest.
Yeah.
So, definitely keep tapped in with us. Again, hortonskids.org, and we will check y'all next week.
All right, bye, guys.